All right, welcome everyone to this Thursday night's edition of Southern Woods and Waters. And I tell you what, I've got a great show for you tonight. I've got my good friend Bobby Wilson back with us from TWRA. He's the director of the state's fisheries, and we're gonna answer some questions. We're gonna talk about some of the things that have been brought up in the public eye here lately. We're gonna talk about something that has to do with fishing. So let's widen out and introduce my guest to you tonight. We have Bobby Wilson. Bobby, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you for having me again.
I tell you what, you're awesome. And Bobby, I want everybody to know he's the director of the fisheries for the state of Tennessee through TWRA. And you know, Ed Carter is right over you.
Yep.
Couldn't be a finer guy. I like
guy.
Ed. I think the world of Ed Carter.
Well, we do too.
And he's a great boss, I bet.
He is. He's a great guy, a great person, big heart. He's just a good person to work for.
And we were going to have Don King on with us tonight.
Right.
And I was going to let everybody know that watches the show. A lot of people don't know. Don King was the original Sawyer Brown.
I didn't know that.
See, you didn't even know that. He was the original Sawyer Brown. Don King was.
I knew he was on tour. He's a country music singer back in the late 70s. And
That was him,
yeah.
Sawyer Brown.
Okay.
So, but Don King is now the public information officer over
Right.
the whole state.
Yeah, not the boxing promoter Don King.
No, not that.
Country music. Yeah,
The
right.
country music singer Don King, and so there is a difference
There's a
there.
difference.
But Don said he had another previous
He
engagement.
had previous engagement that he wasn't
forgot
aware
about.
of.
Yeah, he forgot about it. His wife didn't let him know.
That was what it was. Yeah.
But hey, we kept Bobby, and I tell you what, Bobby's a great guy to even come in and talk to us about it, and I really appreciate him so much. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, we have, regardless whether you believe it or know it or not, out of the 50 states, I'd have to say Tennessee is probably #1 with the wildlife agency that works so closely with all the people in the state. They try to make this state plentiful on fish,
Yep.
plentiful on deer, turkey, all your game species, and they do a fine job. And are they perfect? No, but I know you, and you're probably not perfect. So, you know, it works that way. But they do a great job with what they have available, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Bobby, we're going to talk about, you know, through the websites, Facebook. I hear all these people talking, asking questions, and I told you we were going to talk about them. There has been a lot of concern, or not concern, but there's a lot of people that would like to see us put Florida strain bass. They hear the stories of what goes on at Chickamauga.
Right.
They hear the stories of what goes on at Guntersville, and to some degree, Bobby, I would say I understand what they're talking about. They're saying if you want to catch a big fish, you need to go where big fish are. Mm-hmm. And that's the same scenario fits for deer. If you want to kill a big trophy deer, you need to go where big trophy deer are. So they're asking why we can't put, or what can we do to get TWRA to put the F1 Florida strain bass. It's successful in Chickamauga, successful at Guntersville. Why can't we put it in Percy Priest, No Hickory Lake?
Well, that's a good question. We get asked that question quite a bit.
Right.
Actually, the bass that we put into Chickamauga were pure Floridas, and what resulted from the pure Floridas mating with the pure Northerns was the F1. And what people are catching are the F1s, and then what they call the FX, which is a back cross. Mm-hmm. And those are pretty good growing fish too. So we feel like it was a success at Chickamauga. It's an experiment because we didn't know how it was going to turn out. To find out if it's working, it takes 8 or 10 years almost.
Sure.
So we started back then. We've, as you know, I've had a lot of people catch some big fish down there in that lake. And Guntersville Lake is just, one lake, two lakes below it.
2 lakes below it.
Alabama has stocked it in the past, and they've caught a lot of F1s theirs. And the same thing, they put in pure Floridas, and they crossed with the Northerns and created F1. So we're looking seriously into expanding the program. We don't want to jump right in and stock every lake in the state because we don't think every lake in the state has suitable habitat or would do well with the Florida bass, number one. We want to put them where we think they'll do best. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at stocking them where we think they will do best. Chickamauga has excellent habitat, has some aquatic vegetation there. They have good food, a lot of prey fish there.
Right.
Gunnersville's the same way. Some of those other lakes are the same way. But we don't want to put them in lakes that don't have all the ingredients that it's going to take to be successful. And we don't want to put them where they may be too cold or too far north or anything like that. So we met this week with our biologists and discussing a plan to go forward. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet because we haven't presented to our commission yet.
Right.
And we're not really quite ready to say anything publicly yet. But I can say that we're
But you're gathering information.
gathering
and
information,
stuff like
and
that.
we are going to expand. We're going to stock more big lakes in the state.
I got to ask you, Gibson County Lake, which is in West Tennessee, is it another one that had you started with the Florida strain?
We started with half the bass that were stocked were pure Floridas and half the bass that were stocked were pure Northerns. So
Okay.
on their own, they
created the F1s.
and have F1s, and even the Floridas there have done pretty well. The pure Floridas have grown pretty well there.
Because Gibson County Lake, I'm telling you, or Gibson Lake, I've heard some 13, 14 pound bass coming out of it.
Oh yeah, it's a nice one, and of course the Browns Creek Lake.
Yeah,
it
that was
matches
the other
trace.
one. That's right. That's right.
And our guys, it's been about 4 years ago now, shocked up a big bass. That was almost 17 pounds.
That's
It was
what I was
16
saying,
pounds, 15
something.
ounces, and we got a fin clip off and sent it off to test, and it was a pure Florida. Now nobody caught it. The pure Floridas are the only bad thing about them is they're kind of finicky. And they don't bite as well. That's how they get so big.
They eat a lot of live. They eat live bait.
Live bait, and
Not
so,
a lot of artificial.
Right. So they're not as susceptible to being caught. Now the F1s, on the other hand, they have that hybrid vigor.
Right.
They get the catchability of the Northern with the growth ability of the Florida, and they mix those
And they're a
two
little
together.
bit more aggressive.
Right.
Yeah.
But we feel like it's best for us to put in pure Floridas and to mix with the natives, as we can get a whole lot more bang for our buck than trying to. Because we're not trying to increase the number by stocking the pure Floridas. We're trying to influence the genetics. So if you put in, people say, why don't you just put in F1s? Well, if you put in F1s, that's good, but you'd have to put in almost 200 to 300 per acre to make an impact.
Right.
But we put in the ones that we put in is like 5 or 10 per acre on the Floridas. And they mate with the Northerns, and they put in a whole lot more than we could stock.
Well, yeah, when they come to breeding season and laying their eggs, they're 20 to 50,000 eggs they'll lay.
Yeah.
So
And
that's where you get your
bang.
That's where you get your bang
Right.
for the buck.
Right.
That's right.
And that's what we feel like we get our best bang for our buck there.
Well, I can see that because if you did the F1s and then the F1 is still only half of Florida,
Right.
And then it mates with the Northern, then you're only going to get a quarter Florida.
Yeah, it dilutes down.
It dilutes way down.
Somewhat. It still has that Florida gene in it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing,
But I think it would take longer,
it
don't
takes
you?
long. Yeah. The
Probably
initial
twice as long.
The initial ones you put in will grow pretty well, but you just won't get as many. You won't see as many as we do with the pure Floridas.
All right, Bobby, we got to take a break.
All right.
We got to pay the bills around here, so let's take a break. But when we come back, I tell you what, we're going to get a little bit in depth. I got some great questions for Bobby. Bobby's ready for me. I know he is. So hurry back to more of Southern Woods and Waters.